Intellect here. Another episode of Sight School. Got my main man Joe Gray on the side right here. What's up, Joe?
What up? Hey, we got another episode chock full of some good information, some stories too.
Just stories, conversations, having a good time. I felt like it would be really good to kick it off we got a lot going on right now in the world. We're in the midst of this pandemic, COVID-19. We're all trying to manage that and stay safe and stay healthy. And with saying that, I hope everyone, each of you listening, hope that you're staying safe and healthy during this time. We also have the Black Lives Matter movement going on and a lot of conversation going on in the world, a lot of dialogue that's being had surrounding a number of things. And I think that, even for us as people who are blind and visually impaired, there's always bias. There's always this mindset and this thinking that we're constantly trying to break and change these perceptions, because people, they just have a viewpoint of us that a lot of times is inaccurate. And I feel like, let's get to it. I feel like most blind and visually impaired people have an airport story, an interesting encounter that they may have had at the airport. You got an airport story, Joe?
Man, I got two of them, but one that really sticks out. I was traveling to, I don't remember where I was going, but I had a connecting flight in Atlanta, and everybody knows the airport in Atlanta is huge.
Absolutely crazy.
It's nuts. It's bonkers. So I get off the plane, and I tell the lady at the desk, I said, I need gate-to-gate assistance. I'm visually impaired. She said, "Oh, okay, no worries. We'll take care of you." I said, "All right." So I wait there. So then a representative from the airport comes over, not from the airport, from the airlines comes over. She looks at my ticket, and then the lady's telling her, like, you need, assistance. You don't have to, She came with a wheelchair. She said, he doesn't need the wheelchair. Because first of all, anyone who's blind or visually impaired that's traveled through the airport knows they're going to bring you a wheelchair because they're used to having, people who can't walk long distances or whatever. And I ain't going to lie, there were some times I was just like, man, you know what? All right, I'm going to get in the wheelchair.
No, don't tell me you took the ride.
But listen, hey, that was like the first couple of times. It was probably the first two times I didn't know any different. I was like, all right, I'm going to get in the chair. But once I remember I was talking to somebody, and they were like, bro, you don't do that. And then I thought about it. I was like, yeah, like, it's not that I can't walk. You know what I'm saying? I need help with reading the gate numbers and getting to the right place. So I told her, I was like, well, I don't need the chair. And she just kind of looked at me. So I knew from the beginning there might be some issues with this assistance that I have coming. So whatever. So we take off walking, and she's asking me questions like, well, what can you see? And I don't have any issues with that. I get it when people ask that. They're trying to figure out. So, I tell her, well, I can see this and that. I can see that we're walking past, a gift shop and all these other things. I said, but the issue is, the number on these tickets are so small. I said, but then also matching it up, the font on the gates, they're always different. Different airports, they're different. Some have lights behind them. Some are just black and white. Some are bright colors. All of these things. I said, but in Atlanta, this is what I'm telling her as we're walking. I said, but the airport here, you have to catch a train to go to your terminal. But here's the thing: the signs that are for the train are electronic. They're electric, and they're this red writing on this black background, and it's digital, and it moves vertically across the screen. So I'm trying to tell her it doesn't really work for me. Yada yada yada. And she's like, oh, okay. So then we get to the steps. She's like, can you see the steps are going down? I said, yeah, I can see the steps. So we get down, and she said, okay, you need to take train C, and then your terminal is over there. This is and that. And so we're talking, and now we've walked, and I'm like a step in front of her a little bit. So she's stopped talking, and I get on the train, and she's like, all right, you're good. And I'm like, I'm good. And I turn around, and as I'm turning around, I hear doors closing. And I look, bro, she's booking it back away from the train, back up the stairs.
Oh man.
I'm like, man, she just left me. So now I'm hot. Like, I'm like, all right. I said, boy, when I get off this, just wait till I get up off this train. So the train goes, it gets to the terminal. I get off. And so I walk with the crowd because I know that's the direction I need to go in.
Right.
So I walk with the crowd. I go up the escalator. I go to the very first information desk that I find. I'm flying Southwest. I don't know what airline this is. Whatever. I just walked up there, and there was a lady that she was like, how can I help you? I said, I need to let you know. I said, I'm visually impaired. I'm supposed to have gate-to-gate assistance. The person that they assigned to bring me to the gate is not left. She literally put me on the train and left. And then she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And so she looked at my ticket. She said, well, your gate, you got a ways to go down this terminal to get to your gate. I was like at the end of the terminal where my flight was.
Mm.
But I knew I had I probably had a 2-hour layover in Atlanta. So I knew this whole time I'm thinking on this train, I'm like, I know I got time to spare. So I can I can file a nice complaint, whatever. So I told her, I said, I need to speak to a supervisor. I need to speak to a supervisor right now. I said it calm. I wasn't rude or disrespectful. She said, okay, well, I'll get you one. So then the supervisor comes over. I tell the supervisor everything that happened. So the supervisor said, well, what can I do? What can we do to help you right now? I said, one, I'd like for the person that y'all had assigned to come and help me to come here. I would like to talk to them in person. I said, also, I want to file a formal complaint. I said, if I can't do both of those things, I said, I will make sure to send a lengthy email to Southwest or to whoever I need to. To a person, we'll take care of that. We'll do, So they got the girl. She came over. I probably waited about 5-6 minutes. She came over. And I told her, I said, you made the assumption that I didn't need the assistance by looking at me. So you just assumed that, oh, I'm trying to milk the system. I'm faking it, this, and that. And she was like, no, that's not what I thought. I said it was because you asked me questions like, what could I see? You were almost questioning and doubting these things. You weren't asking that so that you could understand. It was more of I said, because you even said, once I got on the train, I heard you say, oh, you're good. And as I turned around, you booking up the steps.
Right.
And she just kind of looked at me, whatever. And I told the supervisor, I said, either y'all need to do some sensitivity training. I said, she don't need to lose her job, but she might need to take the rest of the day off. I mean, because I was so upset, man. I'm like, you can't do it because
trying to send her home.
Well, listen, because what if it was somebody who wasn't as boisterous as I was? I'm not trying to be funny, but they could still be on train C in the Atlanta airport going in circles right now.
Right.
Because they don't know, they wouldn't have known what to do. So she would say, they apologized. They gave me all these different vouchers or whatever. But that's a situation that I feel like a lot of people have faced or something like that, being blind and vision impaired going through the airport.
Tell me you didn't get that free flight, though, that voucher.
Oh, I got that voucher for that next flight. Hey,
oh, man.
I put that code in on my next flight.
He said, bing, bing. He was good to go. Hey.
What about you, though? You had some type of travel experience
in the airport? Yeah. I feel like there's always something. And I can remember one time specifically, I was in Cincinnati. I was headed back to San Diego. Get to the airport, go to the ticket counter. I'm talking to the agent there. And when I go to the counter, I mean, you understand, you go and you ask for assistance. And so they will get on the intercom, get somebody to come up. And so this guy, he shows up and he says that he's going to be the one that's going to be assisting me. I said, okay, cool. He says that I need you to turn around so you can sit down in a wheelchair. And so I said, well, I don't need a wheelchair. I just need someone to assist me, someone who can walk with me. I can use sighted guide. I can grab your elbow, and then you can guide me as the way I prefer.
Right.
And so he said, well, I can't do that. You got to sit in the wheelchair, sir. And I said, I don't want to sit in the wheelchair. Well, in order for me to help you to your gate, you're going to have to sit in the wheelchair. I said, all right, well, I'm not going to be able to sit in the wheelchair. And just for the record, like I as a Paralympian, um, there are a lot of athletes who have a range of different disabilities, and
Mm.
yeah, some of our strongest competitors and athletes are athletes who just so happen to use a wheelchair. And it's nothing against,
Yeah, it's not a knock on
it's
them
nothing
that yeah,
against
we
the
don't want to ride
wheelchair.
in a wheelchair.
It's just that that's not what I need, and there are alternative ways to assist people. And at the end of the day as well, I don't want you to feel like this is what needs to happen for everyone. And so the guy, he leaves. I didn't
Wait,
sit in the
wait,
wheelchair
wait.
yet. Yeah, he
Like he
left.
left?
He left.
What?
And the lady at the gate, excuse me, I wasn't even at the gate yet. The lady who was at the check-in counter, she was taken aback, like, wow, okay, that just happened. And so her and one of her colleagues, they were talking, and the guy says, well, man, what are we going to do? And so the lady said that she was going to help me through. So she comes from behind the counter, helps me through TSA. I get to the gate eventually, sit down, I'm waiting. So now fast forward to, it's almost time for us to start boarding the flight. And if you have military and individuals who have a disability, they
Yeah.
allow them to get on the flight first. And so I let the lady know at the gate agent, say, hey, can I get some assistance down the jet bridge to the plane? So she gets on the phone, calls for assistance. I'm standing up waiting around, and somebody pulls up. It's the same dude from when I first got to the airport. He
Hey.
said, sir, I'm not going to be able to help you down the jet bridge unless you sit in this wheelchair.
Oh, he tripping.
I said, I'm not sitting in the wheelchair. I'm not sitting in the chair. I don't need that type of assistance. And so we were kind of going back and forth a little bit.
Yo, arguing about the wheelchair.
And the lady, so he goes over to the gate agent, and he tells her that, oh, I'm not going to be able to help him unless he sits in a wheelchair. So then the lady comes to me and saying, sir, you have to sit in the wheelchair. It's a liability issue and all this other stuff. Mind you, I just left like a sponsor event, like a Team USA event or something. So
yeah.
I got medals in the bag. I have Team USA
Right.
like paraphernalia and stuff like that. So I'm like, you guys literally don't understand right now. This is not what I need. And like, I travel all of the time. I travel a lot, and no one else hardly ever has any issues with me just grabbing their elbow and walking alongside with them. So why is this an issue right now? So finally, long story short, the gentleman ends up helping me down the jet bridge, and I grabbed his elbow.
You should have grabbed it. You should have put a little grip on his elbow.
Hey, well, what happened was he swiped my boarding pass, and we were heading down the jet bridge, and he was going to go on the plane and escort me to my seat. But on the jet bridge, now he wanted to be all buddy and, hey, how you doing? So where you from? All this other stuff. I'm like, man, don't.
Yeah, nah, it's too late for that.
After you just totally just neglected to help me, in the way that I felt like I should have been helped. But I know a lot of other cats in the BVI community, and they deal with the same thing, and it's very frustrating. You talk to my mom, any people in my close circle, they know if I go to the airport and someone pulls up with that wheelchair,
nah, it's not gonna happen.
No, sir. And one of my goals is that, I would love to talk to whoever they hire, whoever they contract out to provide this service, just to learn about the different things that they are taught, because there is so many ways to help someone. And circling back to what I had mentioned initially, there's a lot of conversation going on right now on a lot of things. And, most notably Black Lives Matter, but also as it relates to like conscious bias, like we have to break down some of these biases that people just are like, oh, okay, well, this is how things, this is how it's supposed to happen.
Right.
Nah, like, no, there are different ways, there's different perspectives, viewpoints, there's different strategies, methods to achieve the same task. Like when I talk to kids and give presentations to kids, we'll do an exercise where I'll say, we have the number 12. What is 6 plus 6? And they'll say 12. What is 3 times 4? 12. What is 19 minus 7? 12. What's 24 divided by 2? 12. And so the point in doing that with them is to let them know that there are many, 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 many ways and different things that we can employ to get to the same solution. So when you talk about these times where you're in an airport or wherever it is, where people just have this, okay, one size fits all type of view.
Mm.
Like, no, we gotta fix that. We need to adjust that, because that is that's not reality.
And that doesn't help anybody. If you try to put everybody into the same mold, it's not gonna work. I mean, I can think of a time where I was working at, I'm not gonna say the name of the place, but I was
expose somebody.
Man, what? I was working at and this is like when I first started competing. And you know how it is. You start off, you don't have no sponsorships. You don't have, you grind it.
Right.
So, I was working. It was a late night job. It was at a packing, like a shipping, one of the shipping companies. Let's just say it like that. So, and this was right after we came back from Brazil from World Championships. So, I go to the place, I'm talking to them, and they're like, oh, we see, you're an athlete. I said, yeah, I'm a Paralympic athlete. I just recently, a month ago, came back from Brazil World Championships. Oh, they loved it. Oh, that's great, this and that. So they said, well, we're going to put you on the floor, and you'll just help stock the trucks. Because I had told them, I'm visually impaired. I gave them I probably spent 30 minutes with 2 supervisors, somebody over the warehouse, like literally like 30 minutes telling them what, my disability, all these things, what I needed for accessibility. So, bro, this was probably like 2000, went to Brazil in 2007.
Yeah.
So I'm telling them all this stuff or whatever. And so a week went by. Now 2 weeks, everything's fine. I'm on the truck. And the thing about when you putting the packages on the truck, you have to turn it so that the labels are right side up and facing out. So when they scan it, when they go drop people's packages off, they can just scan it. So that's fine. I can do that. And then they partnered. I had a partner that I would load the trucks with, and he'd say, "Oh man, this box is upside down. I mean, the label's upside down with it," and he'd fix it. I was like, "Cool, this working." He understands what I got going on. It's perfect. And then the same thing for unloading. We load so many trucks, and then we unload so many trucks on our shift. So then we unload. He was like, he'd make sure that all I did was I made sure that the label was facing up towards the sky, and then he turned the box the right way so it could go down the conveyor belt. Well, they moved him somewhere else in the facility, and they said, "Well, we're gonna put you, on the another part of the facility where you have to scan." They gave me a scanner, and you scan these barcodes when they come off. So not only do you scan the barcode, but then you have to, depending on the size of the box, you push it away to another conveyor belt. And I told him, I said, I don't think that's the best idea. You're talking about me making sure I've got this scanner in the right spot, turn the package so I can scan the scanner. And then if the numbers on there are so long, or if there's like a 16 number code or a 20-digit code or something like that, to push it to the other side. So I'm not going to be able to do that. I said, I'm just being completely honest. Oh, no, you can do it. So then when I did it, of course, what happened? packages was getting messed up, sent to the other side of the facility. But then I literally, now, like I said, this is like 2007, so 2 years out of high school, I'm still figuring out, the world. Like I said, just started competing, other stuff. So I had a supervisor tell me, well, you're not that visually impaired. And then I thought to myself, I looked at him, I said, well, what do you mean I'm not that visually impaired? He said, well, I've seen people who didn't have any sight or something like that.
Oh, and he saw someone. He got sunglasses, cane, and a guide dog. That's what.
I said, so what do you expect me to do? And then he said something. It was like Charlie Brown after that point. So I just left, and I went and told the supervisor, what he said. And then I was like, man, I'm not going back. I'm not going back in there. And I didn't go back. But man, I wish I knew if I knew now what I knew then. Oh man, boy, no, I said that wrong. If I knew then what I know now, that shipping company would have a new name, because you can't make a statement like that. You can't say that. Oh, I've seen people who had worse than you. What does that have to do with me in this situation? Because what he was trying to say was that I was not visually impaired. I didn't have a disability.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that we're certainly at a point in time in life now where you just got to be more cognizant, and you got to really have your thinking cap on when you are having these discussions with people, because I mean, what is it? Sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you.
Yeah.
Like that's not true. And words out here, words have power. They have energy and all sorts of things associated with them. And so when you say certain things to people, it makes them feel a certain way. It triggers them, and certain emotions are the product of these terrible things that people say. And I mean, growing up, it's like, man, it's like, wow, okay. Some of the things that used to be said and some of the things that you've heard, it's like, wow, life was different then. But now I think that we've gotten to a point where there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of science and data on how these things really impact us. And you can stress people out. People get depressed over this type of stuff. And
you make somebody spaz out.
Yeah, you definitely have to be, a lot more mindful of what's being said. So, yeah, that whole in the workplace and traveling, for sure. That traveling piece, man, for a lot of reasons. I'm like, oh, come on, what can we do to help these folk out? Because it's tough. I even remember I went to a friend's wedding, and I went by myself. And so usually if I go away for the weekend or just for a night trip, then I just have my backpack, and I'm not the person that I don't like standing at the conveyor belt and things like that. When you get off the plane and have to pick your bags up, they might lose your bag, or by that time when I get off of the plane, I'm ready to get to my destination at the end of the day.
Right.
So most times I'll have a backpack or a carry-on. I could put it in the overhead compartment. But so I went to my friend's wedding. I'm by myself. I land in Texas, and I get an Uber to a hotel. I didn't have a hotel booked at the time, but I was like, you know what? I'm gonna make this work. I know they got to have some hotels for me. So I went to the first one. It was a Hilton. And since I was just going in there, no reservation, last minute, availability was low. They told me that price. I said, nah, I'm going to go to another one.
That's when you're like, thank you, but no thank you.
I'm good. So I get back outside. I get an Uber, and eventually get to a spot that has like, a lot of them. So for what I needed, I just needed somewhere to lay my head for a few hours. So it was a Motel 6, I think it was. And so you already know the price was right with that one.
Of course. They kept the light on for you.
Right. But they didn't have any rooms. And so now I'm like, all right, cool. So there's another hotel that's across this like a highway, if you will. And I pull up Ira, and Ira it's an app that gives blind and visually impaired individuals instant access to human agents that are located in a remote area. So I can hit the call button once the Ira app is open, and it will connect me to someone who can see through my phone camera, and they can give me directions as to where I need to go. And so I'm telling them that, hey, I just walked out of this office at a Motel 6. They don't have any rooms for me. I need to find this hotel that's across the street. And so Ira, they also have the ability to look up information on the internet. They can help you book the room and all of those things, and then help you get to the room as well. And I remember one of the things, I was standing outside, and after I had left that Motel 6 front office, I'm standing there, and I felt the presence of someone in close proximity.
Yeah, yeah.
And obviously I have my cane and I have my backpack. That's literally all I have, and I feel this presence, and I back up like, you need something? and, and I don't think that they recognized that I knew that they were there. So
yeah.
So I told Ira, I said, man, let's go. And
Yeah.
So I hit the U-turn or whatever, and eventually get to the main sidewalk, and they helped me navigate to the hotel. Actually, I mean, I get across the street safely. Shout out to Iron. They're really,
Man, yeah.
really,
Shout out to
really
Ira.
amazing service. I get across the street safely, make my way to that hotel, and I checked in, and the service that I had received there actually was good. They had someone who assisted me to my room. They showed me where all of the items were. I think I even needed to order some food at the time, and they helped me find some local restaurants and things like that. So, I mean, people can really make your experiences amazing, and
Yeah,
that's whether you're blind or not. I mean, when you're in that arena where you provide a service, customer service is huge, man. You gotta make sure that you learn as much as possible, and be ready for any type of situation, because you never know who's going to walk through those doors and what sort of help they may need. So, um, I mean, we could talk about this this travel and accommodations piece forever and forever and forever.
All day. Yeah, we can talk about that all day. But I was gonna say, kind of switching a little bit. Have you encountered any what's the word I'm looking for? Have you encountered any, when you tell people you're a Paralympic athlete, because I can think of all the craziness that people have said that I've had to correct or just, explain to people. Have you experienced any, what am I looking for? Have you experienced the, what has that been like when people find out you're a track and field athlete? How was that? Because then, they're like, well, aren't you blind? How do you do that?
Yeah, and like when I'm traveling, like
yeah,
yeah. You know what? Most times when I'm traveling, I just I'm telling people that if it gets to that point where they want to know what I do, then I may tell them that I'm a Paralympic athlete. A lot of times I will tell them I'm a speaker, because more times than none, when I'm out and about and I'm traveling, I'm usually going to a company event to do a presentation. Excuse me. But when I'm competing, then I'm usually with the team. And so that's a dead giveaway when they see a lot of athletes with Team USA gear on coming through. They understand that it's some sort of competition that we're going to. But when it's just me and I'm out and about doing my thing, and we just so happen to venture into that subject, people are definitely surprised, and that it certainly brings up a lot of questions, and they want to know how it works, when it started, how did I lose my sight, how did I get over it. I mean, it's definitely a lot of a lot of conversation that stems from that. Some people are really surprised, and some people are like, oh, I've heard about the Paralympics. That's awesome. Or maybe as small as the world is, you do run into some people sometimes, and they, oh man, I have a friend who competes, or one of my family members competes, and so I mean, it's definitely interesting to hear who knows, who doesn't know. I think that in comparison to when I started in 2004, I think at that time I probably wasn't even really noticing it as much. I was 19 and just my mind was elsewhere at that
Yeah.
time. And but as I continued to grow up and get into the sport more, and start to go to this place and that place, you start to see that there wasn't a lot of awareness during those early years that I was competing. But now in 2020, there's a lot more TV coverage. There are a lot more, sponsors that are backing the Paralympians. There's even a number of sponsors out there within the past quad who they've supported more Paralympians on their Olympic and Paralympic team
Mm-hmm.
than the Olympic athletes. So when I was sponsored by BP in the lead up to Rio, I think we had 5 Paralympians, I believe, and 2 Olympians on the BP team. And I want to say right now, Bridgestone tires, I think that they have more Paralympians than they do Olympic athletes for their team that's kind of representing their brand down the path to Tokyo. So, man, it's definitely changed, and I'll be interested to see how moving forward in 2028. I'll be interested to see how it all moves and progresses, because in 2028, the Olympics and Paralympics will be in LA, and that's going to be huge. I think that'll be the games where it can really explode for the Paralympic movement and the awareness and people truly understanding what it is. So, yeah, man, I definitely have enjoyed seeing that growth, and especially again, kind of going back to the traveling piece. It's always nice to run into some people who know what it is, and if they don't, then again, that's another opportunity to
educate.
share, to educate, to make them aware. I mean, it's all about everything that we talk about up here, just informing people and opening their minds and teaching people to see. I mean, that's what it's all about at the end of the day, because we don't know everything, and that's cool. But we all have the capacity to learn and elevate our thinking, and that's the biggest thing. At the end of the day, don't choose to stay in the realm of understanding that you are right now. There's always something that we can learn across the board.
And sometimes you just gotta be quiet and listen.
That's it.
I feel like that's an issue that I've come across a lot. Somebody will ask me a question about my visual impairment, and then I may give an answer. Well, then they just start saying all these other things instead of just hold on, slow down for a second. Let me give it all to you. Then we can have a dialect. But what happens is a lot of people, they already have these preconceived notions. So then when you give them an answer, it's like, well, no, that's not true, because I thought that all blind and visually impaired people do this and this. And that's why I'm like, if you could just listen, I could explain it to you. And
Yeah.
to piggyback off what you said about especially the growth of the Paralympics, because I remember when I first started running, man, I ran into the issue of Paralympics. Isn't that like, people create the Special Olympics, and no knock on the Special Olympics, but the Special Olympics are for people with intellectual disabilities. Paralympics are more of a physical disability, and also on an elite, level. I tell people all the time, we train beside Olympic athletes all the time. When I was at Tennessee State, there was a bunch of people, trying to make an Olympic team. And we're training right there. I train with guys who, were preparing for the NFL draft that, that ran track at Tennessee State. So I think at first, when I first started running, because I didn't hear about the Paralympics until it was at my feet, until I was at, the Youth World Championships and people were talking about the Paralympics. I was like, this is 2005. I'm like, man, what is that? And then, slowly I started realizing it. But I feel like now, like you said, 2020, man, the opportunities are almost endless, so to speak, when it comes to what you could do with sponsorship, recognition of just think about the TV coverage. The other day, what was it? I think NBC Sports or somebody replayed the Paralympic Games from Rio.
Yeah, they had on NBC Sports, NBCSN. They were playing a lot of the moments from Rio, and then they continued throughout the week to play competitions from our World Championships in 2019 in track and field and in swimming. Yeah. So, and there may have been some more, and I might be missing it, but I do remember seeing that they had some track and field and swimming that was being broadcasted. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely it's night and day different from what it was when I started. And the awesome thing is there's always room for growth, and there's always room for improvement. And so to be in some of the conversations and hear that people are actively thinking about the para athletes in their programming and plans moving forward, I think that's definitely gives you that optimistic type of feel and makes you say to yourself, all right, man, this is, when it's all said and done, the athletes who will come after us, they're going to have a phenomenal experience. And I think that too, just touching on the Special Olympics versus Paralympics piece, excuse me, I know that there are a lot of athletes out there who they get a little frustrated by that. And yeah, to your point earlier, we do have an intellectual class, category in the games now. But of course, the major difference between Special Olympics and Paralympics is the Special Olympics are focused more on that participation.
Yeah.
Whereas Paralympics, if you don't get top 3, you don't get on the podium, then
you ain't taking no hardware home.
You come home
empty-handed.
So, yeah, I mean, I know I don't really get that question as much anymore. Or people just don't, they're like, oh, okay, you compete for the Paralympics. And again, if someone just so happens to confuse the two, then again, it's just another opportunity to say, hey, this is a difference between the two, and
yeah,
moving forward, they'll know the difference. But yeah, I think again, going back to what you were saying about listening, I think that's huge. Certainly, in everything that we're talking about, you will hope that people are listening, not just hearing, but listening. And listening is our ability to not only hear the information, but to understand it and to actually, move forward in life, knowing that, okay, I've been enlightened. I have been made aware of something. So, don't just stick to that bias that you may have been standing on previously.
And I feel like biases is something, for some people, they can be so entrenched in their biases that they won't even hear what you're saying. But you can't let that defeat you. You say what you're going to say to people. You explain it to them so they understand. And that's all you can do. Once you give people information, that's it. It's on them now. The ball is in their court.
Yeah, that train is going to pull out. If they're not willing to get on, then they can stay where they at. That's cool.
When they say get right or get left. So
get right or get left.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Yeah, but man, ultimately, excuse me, at the end of the day, it is just making sure that, we talked about the experiences traveling and the airport, and um, we just have to continue to break these perceptions at the end of the day, and get people on this right side, so that they know we can occupy this space just like the next person, man. We want to go out here and travel, have a good time. We want to be employed, have jobs, be able to put our packages on the conveyor belt properly without, without having to deal with
Come
someone
on.
with someone saying just craziness. But yeah, moving forward, if you are someone who you're an employer, if you're a friend, a family member, a teacher, a CEO, whatever, always use your platform to be able to open the conversation, open the dialogue, so that you can first listen to people, understand their perspective, see where they're coming from, and see how you can adapt and accommodate them. Because I hear my mom say it a lot. Sometimes you have to meet people where they are,
There you
and
go. There
meet
you
them
go.
there, and you pull them along, and next thing you know, we all are winning at the end of the day.
And that should be the goal, to win. That should be the goal.
Absolutely. Hey man, so I know we're running out of time here, but let everybody know where they can find us.
Hey, shoot us that email at thesiteschool@gmail.com. That's thesiteschool@gmail.com. And you already know you listen to this video on YouTube. So that's what we need you to do. 3 things. Step 1, like the video. Steps 2, comment below. Step 3, subscribe and turn on that notification bell. So anytime we upload any content of the Site School, you will know automatically. We need you to do those things. We appreciate it. Tell them, Lex, what is it?
Site School, teaching people to see.
Peace out.